Yeah, so this is our theme today: nostalgia, memory, and visual. Actually, all these three are communication. Everything is this is very communication aspect. Nostalgia and memory. There's a study on that, and visual as well, visual communication. But of course, you need to put it in a context. What is it? For example, Mas Satria here is putting this in the context of film, for example. So somebody else will put this into music, maybe communication and music, or somebody else will put this into gaming, gamification, and as everything else, the context. My context is actually tourism or tourism heritage specifically. And this is my information a little bit. I would like to define myself as academic entrepreneur. So maybe that way I would be able to see the bridge, the gap between what is things that we can feel out as our using our entrepreneurship skill, and what things that we can feel using our academic point of view. And this is my Instagram, LinkedIn, and maybe YouTube that you can visit later on if you would like to visit. And I also have a company. This is actually a company that moves in three ways. The first one is tour and travel. However, tour and travel offline is currently we off. We don't do it during the COVID-19. We don't want to take any risk. The second one, we do more virtual tour. So that's something that we develop now, and training on virtual tour. The second one, the business goes into media production. So we produce like a short, maybe advertising or videos or social media content in tourism. And the third one is we do consultation. So we do training or we do projects with the government that relate to consultant. That's our company, Travel System. You can call it like that. And then, and this is some of my publication that I will put it in here. So maybe you can check it later on in if you are interested. The first one I did was more like representation of tourism brochure in Indonesia. The second one, home and away, is more like I interview Australian tourists in Indonesia and try to ask them, what are you looking for in Indonesia? What do you see in Indonesia? I think this context could also be done in Philippines, for example, or in, I don't know, your countries. Absolutely. And the third one, I'm doing also representation on rural place. So I want to know what is the quest of tourists in rural area. What are they looking for? Why are they going to rural places? Why they have to go there? Why? What are they looking for? So that's in Indonesian context, in Java and Bali. And the next one is locating nation in a village. Is I want to see how the nuance of a village representing a nation. What do they do? Because I researched one village. It is in Bali. So my friend usually mock me for saying, "Are you doing research in Bali?" Because like it's so fun, right? So that's a research in about village. And the last one is I do comparative study between Japan and Indonesia on the way village representing nations, because I do research in comparison between one of the best village in Indonesia and one of the best village in Japan. And I see these two, how similar and how different they represent each country. And this is the company that I talk about, is Travel System. It's a certified partner by Magang Merdeka. We have an internship project actually called STIP Travel System. STIP is Sustainable Tourism Internship Program Travel System. Currently, we accept 60, we call them future champion of sustainable tourism, through 3 division, which is digital, community-based, and research division. And in the second batch, we are going to open again. I think it's around January or December. The Campus Merdeka, the ministry will open the application. We will try to have 100. And we will have a privilege more for 10 seats for disabled students because we work a lot with disabled students. We also currently accept 2 international interns from Australia, Indonesia Youth Exchange Program internship, and we accept 2 interns from Australia. So if you are not from Indonesia and you are interested to dwell into Indonesian tourism or anything like that, feel free to check our website or our Instagram and check whether there's an availability for us. Maybe you can do ask me or, email us. So our current project is basically going along with a virtual tour. So we conduct virtual tour from Indonesia and from outside Indonesia too. We are working a lot with schools in Australia that like Indonesian study. They do Indonesian study program, and we do in a virtual tour because they cannot go to Indonesia. I also did movement about healthy tourism with government in Java, and we do defable virtual tour because virtual tour can be done by disabled people. And then we do also digitalization project in 12 destinations in 2 regency in Yogyakarta. We also did research, it's more like a research and then design, the cycling route and cycling tourism in Yogyakarta. And we do digitalization of batik, which we use several technology, QR code, and the other one was augmented reality. So for example, if you have batik in your clothes and then you put your phone on the batik, and then there appear the augmented of things that is projected with the batik. But currently it's still developing. And then we have also creating right now the perspective of sustainable tourism marketplace, but we don't know, we're still working on it. So that's the project. And now the class. What am I going to cover today is that I'm going to discuss about the case study from other country in relation to nostalgia, memory, and also visual. And I also will discuss about how tourism is evolving, because of this COVID-19 pandemic and also the disruption era. And also then I will discuss about nostalgia, memory, and visual using several examples of the project that we're doing. And what should we do practically as a student, as a lecturer, or as whatever you are now, as someone who knows this gap. So I'm going to make you feel like not comfortable, because I'm not going to give you a good things or success story, but I may give you something that you will think about that and curious and feel like, is it really, like, we should do it, like something like that. So anxious, I won't give you anxious, kegelisahan. What is that? Anxious, So okay. So the first thing, my question to you. So I have a question. I have 4 pictures. Okay. Please, you can put it on the chat if you want, feel free, or you can just open your mic and told me. So there's a research done by Canon Hunter in 2012, which is very interesting. Actually, he researched 1 destination. Okay. And he tried to look at the photograph that was produced by 4 different people with 4 different status or position. 1 is an anthropologist. 2nd is a local people. 3rd is tourists. And 4th is marketers. So my question to you, 1, 2, 3, 4, which one is which? Which one is taken by who? So number 4, is it taken by tourists or local people or anthropologist or marketing person? So please feel free to answer. Anyone? Guess. Mas Satria, maybe you can ask your student. Maybe anyone want to guess?
What is the question anyway? Number 4. Which one is the...
4. Which one is being taken by anthropologist, by tourists, by local people, and by marketers? Which of this photo?
Okay, student, you can write in the box chat if you want. Otherwise, you can say it directly.
This one.
Okay. We have local
Anthropolog
people.
2. Okay. And 1 marketers, 2 local people, 3 tourists, 4 anthropolog. Clifford almost correct, but wrong.
Almost
Almost,
got
but
wrong.
wrong. Okay, try again. Try to maybe answer it like Clifford Co. Yeah, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, not separately, because we will then don't know who's correct. So try to answer all together. I will give you the right answer if there's someone who write the right answer. Okay, Clifford, marketers number 1, 2 tourists, 3 local people, 4 anthropologists. Okay, we have the answer. That's correct. Clifford Co. Yeah, Clifford Co. What's the name of Clifford Co? So
Jason.
yeah, Jason. That's correct, Jason. So number 1 is marketers. Yeah. Why is it marketers? Well, you can see it is a postcard. It's postcard is one of the tools to market a place, yeah, a destination, and you can see the glamorous things that it was taken. It's a different eyes, yeah. If you take a look at it, like it's the same. It's all of this is the same destination, but they photograph it in a different way, and the different, we call it gaze in tourism, yeah, different way of looking, ways of seeing a destination. The second one, it is correct, it is tourist. Why is it tourist, Clifford? Why do you guess the second one is tourist? Which aspect that make you think it's tourists who take the picture? Jason, I mean. Jason?
Food and sceneries.
Okay. Oh, he answered already?
Yeah, food and sceneries.
Okay. Yeah, food and sceneries. Yeah. So they take picture of this specific winery and food. And they take photo of a street vendors who sell something, right? How many of you who stay in your location take picture of street vendor? Mas Satria, you live for 100 years in in Sidoarjo. Have you ever take photo of a street vendor in Sidoarjo? Not in Perth, not in
No.
anywhere. No,
No.
exactly.
No.
But
Yeah.
do you went to US or something like that, like Portugal or something? Did you
Yeah.
take any photo of street vendor in there, like when
No.
they sell something?
No.
Okay, so
I take a picture of the food only.
yeah, okay, food. You don't. But when for example me, when I go to like Turkey, for example, I took picture of the kebab maker, like it's going around, right? So I
Yeah.
take picture of that. But there is someone who sell kebab actually in here. I don't take picture of them, right? So it's very interesting the way we see things as a tourist. Yeah, it's different. And then number 3, why do you think it's local people? Clifford or anyone else, maybe they have the same thought. Anyone? Maybe number 3. Why do you think it's local people who take that picture?
Because they know all the details. No.
Yeah, and it's an object that is actually not really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you take a look at it, there's a chat here. Because it's not commonplace, yeah, maybe because it is not iconic place, yeah. It is commonplace, but it is not iconic, right? You don't take you may not take photo of a river and maybe a broken street of a river. Maybe they will just try to complain when they talk about the river. There's a broken street, and then there's just an empty roads here, and they take picture of themselves. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, you can tell this is local people taking pictures. And the last one, this one, anthropolog. Why do you think it's anthropolog who take this picture?
Oh, geez, it means I am anthropologist.
Yeah.
I took a picture like this.
See? See? So why, Mas Satria? Why?
I don't know. I love the idea of the building shows, the details, the identities, and how they stand up in the, some particular places, and the why they stand up, and how they mark themselves, in that place. Yes. So that's why I take a lot of old buildings.
Yes. I totally understand. Yeah, it's very interesting that a similar destination when was tested by with using four different people with different occupation. They have different eyes toward the destination. I myself has been in Yogyakarta for 17 years. I reduced my age, actually 30 years or more. I never take picture at Malioboro Street, like it's a famous street. I was wondering like why people take picture in there. Like it's so stupid.
Same.
But
I never took picture of Kuta Beach at all.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, why people do that? No. So it's very interesting to see these new ones. Yeah, but I want you to think about this. Yeah, there's a gap here that then I see it as an academia, but also as entrepreneur, because then when we talk to the local people, for example, we want to do trainings on digitalization, or we want to train the local people to promote their destination, right? They do the number 3. So how come it will be interesting for tourists, right? So they don't have the eyes of others that they see. Oh, very interesting. One day we ask, we tell them that membajak sawah, what is it? Using a cow and you plough you cultivate the land, yeah, with the cow, and the cow step on the sawah and on the paddy field. It's very interesting for tourists. When you ask on top of the cow, your children or you, it's very interesting for international tourists. Yeah, it is everywhere in the magazine in Australia. Actually, if you take a look at it, Mas Satria, maybe like there's a young boy in on top of the buffalo and Bali and something like that. Why, right?
My apologies, Desi. I have to interrupt you because my kids doing the same in Australia, but never want to do it in Indonesia. I don't know why. We pet the bunny, we pet the goat, we pet the cow in Australia, and we see it like, oh, this is interesting, but we never done it in Indonesia. Yeah. We have cows every day in the street, but we never touch it at all. So yes. What do you think? It's common?
Yes, so this is the different feeling of being tourist, being someone from other country, or others, and being ourselves in our own space, right? So this is why I think it's very interesting on talking about visual, is that we want to know who is taking pictures and how do they see place and space. How do they capture the moment? It's different. So that's why I think this is also one of the gap that you guys as students, or if you are a lecturer, you can try to take a look at these issues. Yeah, it is different and the way they see it. And now I want to bring you a little bit to the case study in which how, for example, Japan. In here, I did quite a bit of research in comparative study between Indonesia and Japan. And I want to see, I like to see history and also heritage of Japan. So I like to see them back on the old time. And Japan actually looking at this issue as ways of seeing. Yeah. And they actually, it's very interesting that they actually evolve. Yeah, over time, that they started with, if someone wants to see me as Japanese, Nihonjin, Nihonjiron, yeah, the Japanese identity, this is what I should do. Okay, so they try in the past, in the early age of Japan government after the bombing, nuclear bomb, they try to have this as a spirit, the Nihonjiron, and then they evolve, right? Because if they want to say, I am Japanese, right? They cannot basically talk to other people and then sell something that make other people interesting. So they try to find what is the thing that they look at us and it's very interesting. And they find something. Before that, they also have done research that they think that if they only concern with making stuff, it's called monozukuri, making stuff, they will be lost in the game because China will win. For example, Japan used to make all the small stuff like peniti, like a needle, like whatever, yeah, small stuff like mono, yeah, things, but they will lose. So what they make is they make mono something, but with identity, and they find it called kawaii. So they find it, oh, okay, let's not make things, let's make kawaii things, let's make cute things, because that sells. And China cannot follow us unless they are going to the same direction, which is making identity of Chinese things. So then Japan moved to kawaii mono. They make something cute. Like this is where if you heard Hello Kitty, yeah, Astro Boy, all the manga, yeah, Candy Candy, Sailor Moon, whatever it is, yeah, it start from there. That they start to think that, okay, if I just see myself as myself, I cannot go other country and explore and being, people will buy my stuff, right? So they try to make identities. And this is where the Japanese culture, Japanese stuff is sprung, yeah, like it's growing everywhere. Japanese stuff, Japanese J-pop, all that. That was actually followed by Korean. Right now we have Hallyu, yeah, we have everything Korean. Yeah, all my skincare is Korean. It has to be Korean, for example. Now that then grow, because why? Because they understand that if they want other to see them, they have to see what's the gap. And the last one, Japan then grow into endless discovery, because they start to grow, I would say mature, because they're not only want to sell something, cute things, but they want to preserve the past. This is where the nostalgia, the memory, everything become business in Japan. Everything that related to the past, to home, is then going up. This is a case study of Japan. So I think it's very interesting. If you could see, they also still, they preserve the culture heritage, the buildings, but also they try to interpret the culture heritage with the new things going on, like manga. So this is the same thing. This is Momotaro, and this one is also Momotaro, but in an anime style. Yeah. So it's very interesting to see the visual aspect of all this that is evolving in a country. This is also another aspect of how Japan visualize things and visualize memory and nostalgia and stories. Yeah, which is aircraft. Yeah, economy, creative economy. That's how they try to have icon, to have anime or icon anime that could represent the story of something, of someone. This is something that we haven't done in Indonesia, not yet, not a lot. Yeah, that we try to choose maybe a figure of a city and then make it an icon, yeah, and sell it in a creative industry, especially souvenir or something like that. So it's very interesting to see Japan as a case study. Now, there's another one is Croatia. This is a different story about visual and memory, but also very interesting. So Croatia is actually have a short Baroque history, yeah, and there is called Judgment of Domenico Furlan, who's like Robin Hood. Yeah, it's very famous story, and they make it in an island. So it's maybe like Ratnas Island, yeah, Mas Satria is familiar. So it's in an island. Everyone go to an island, to that island, just because they want to see Domenico Furlan stories. Yeah. And it's just drama basically. But people there wear the exact clothes as it was interpreted in the past. And there are 10,000 more viewers, people coming there, because people start to develop this nostalgia, memory, and visual aspect into tourism. And it's very interesting to see this as well. And also, we see another examples of different countries, yeah, and different aspect. Like there's an interpretations of tourism using puppets, yeah, in Yogyakarta. It's quite famous. And hobby tongs, maybe you heard in New Zealand doing that as well. And the Domenico Furlan is like this. And in Indonesia, it's still guide explained, but it's still included as a way to preserve memory. But Indonesia right now is trying to go to the future, to the more creative way of communicating memory and nostalgia. This is another example in Japan. Is Ninja Village. It's where you come and go to this ninja village, and they actually try to sell the star, throwing star, as a souvenir, and a Japanese sword. So it's very interesting how they use all this and combine everything into a creative locality. Now, before I start, maybe Mas Satria would like to call one or two international students to explain a little bit. Did they have maybe similar example like I have explained?
I don't know. Maybe we have Victor, we have Yahya, Jason, Sabrina. Maybe you can share your perspective. Nahid, perhaps. Anyone? We have Sabrina here. Maybe.
Could you please repeat the question?
Oh.
Victor, where are you from? Are you from Indonesia? Sabrina,
no,
okay.
Belarus, yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. Victor, do you have a similar story?
Yeah.
Nice. Hello. Do you have similar story with what I have explained to you on how maybe there's a creativity that was done in your city or in your country that combined between nostalgia, memory, and visual?
I think it's difficult to compare because it's a bit different cultures, two different, I guess, like Asian and European. And yeah, I think it's a bit difficult because as I understand, Indonesian culture tried to follow trends, modern trends, and we are here we are more conservative, still conservative. It's like a competitive, a competition between like Indonesian and other like Korean and Japanese cultures, you know, and Indonesian culture try to chase, and here is still everything more calm, more conservative, as I say before.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see also the something like Asian and maybe like a European perspective in these issues as well. Yeah, and I guess maybe a combinations of that I will explain later on in about Indonesia. So thank you, Victor. Is there anyone maybe would like to explain?
Jason, perhaps, if you want to share the experience in Philippines.
Philippines, yeah. I was wondering maybe with Jason, because I have a Filipino student before last year, I think. They said about village tourism, because we have a lot now in Indonesia. We develop around 2,000 village tourism, in which you can go to the village and you can experience and participate things going on in the village. Do you have that in Philippines? Because we're almost similar in terms of landscape and maybe geography.
As far as my experience goes, the culture of villages, they would have a person trained from the village into to become a tourist guide, and he would show the place around and explain what is happening. But in terms of you seeing actual everyday life in the village, not so much, I think, because we shouldn't be bothering the locals. But they do show aspects like the items or what they would do, and they would explain. But it's not as common to see them in action per se. You would literally go there to see them, what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. So Jason, I guess it's very interesting because it will be a bit different when we explain later on. I will explain in Indonesia how the development of this tourism village, which we now targeting about, again, I said 2000. We're still going with 900 so far that has been, I would say, registered as a destination, a village tourist or village cultural village destination registered. The other 2000 is ongoing. So it's COVID, so it's not going anymore. But what sort of participation, what are sort of like activities, I will explain later on. So in regards to that, I would like to also connect with how the tourism business currently evolve, because before, tourism business go as usual. Yeah, people come, and according to the research that I've done in Bali and Jogja, actually the one that get the most benefit of tourism is actually tour and travel agency or companies. They're the middlemen that get the most. But whether or not the local people will get something, that's a question. Because like Jason said, a lot of these tour and travel agent, for example, they created a package, they go to a place and just go and then gone. There's nothing they left for the community they visit, for the destination they visit, for the local people that they use as a spectacle. So for example, they want to explain, okay, this is paddy field, okay, this is the farmer is doing the thing with the buffalo, and this is how they harvest the paddy. But then what the farmer get? Nothing. They just explain that and show that, which is fine. But then our question would go to, okay, so within this cycle of tourism, is there anything that goes for local people? Is there anything that we can do for them? That's never been questioned. And that goes around and around with this massive tourism going on. And, you know, I think there's a new called new wave of community-based tourism, which then ask for more for the local people. But then it's also still the tourism cycle still going around like that. So with that business, now the business has evolved. And through my company, we actually conduct a webinar last time with TUI. TUI is one of the tour and travel industry in Europe. And we agree that actually the person who are now will travel after COVID is those who may wants to get more from tour and travel, which means is it your business do something different or not, or just similar with other business as usual? Yeah, they try to see for maybe innovativeness or new commitment toward a business, especially tourism business. And the tourism business itself evolved from digital from offline to digital nomads. There's a transformation. There is this innovation of virtual tour. There is connectivity to places, people, and profit to creativity. The storynomic, we call it in Indonesia. So it's very interesting that it goes around and this discussion appear. Now, I would like to discuss one of the things that we do actually in the business. It's called virtual tour. It's actually not a new type of tourism, but now because of COVID, people see it as a new things. So basically in 1994, virtual tour become the first one appear, which is a 3D reconstruction of a castle in a Dudley Castle, in which it's actually going a tour toward this castle. And there's also real estate doing this before already, but now it's more monetized. Automobile doing that, museum doing that now, and tourism destination currently doing that. And the virtual tour itself is actually a simulation of an existing location that is composed as a sequence of video image. And it is also an experience using computer, which a visitor see and interact with simulated environment using monitor, mouse, and a computer and everything. This is what we do in Toraja. It's actually one of the cemetery heritage in North, no, in Sulawesi, in Toraja, yeah. It's Sulawesi Tengah or Sulawesi Tenggara, I forgot, but we do this with lots of Indonesian tourists and foreign tourists. And the technology also appear a lot, yeah. We do have Google ER, VR, Google Street View, video or photo 360, recorded video as well, live streaming, and gamification. So this one right here in the middle, maybe I can just point it at you. Oh, actually, yeah. So this one is, we do it in Borobudur. The Borobudur currently is creating a game using avatar. Yeah, and then they go inside the Borobudur, something that we've never seen before. Yeah, so it's very interesting. This one is, we do a live stream virtual tour at Kota Gede. And currently we are developing the 360 using Google in 12 destinations. So basically that's what we do to overcome the tourism difficulties, yeah, and innovation. So I may give you a little bit of glimpse of virtual tour that we do. Maybe in this one is in Melbourne, but this one is just live stream. So the example of this is this one is hosted by Australian, and they actually explain about Melbourne, yeah, the statue and everything. So they go walk around like a walking tour, but using phone, yeah, and show them around the places. And yeah, this one is actually it's just very simple. It's a parking, but there's a question from the audience asking, so what is 4P and how do you park in Australia? Because it looks very tidy. And then the Australian explain about how Australian park. It's very simple actually. But it's very interesting because it shows there's an exchange of information. And with that virtual tour, I would like to go very specific on nostalgia. Actually, there are lots of theory with nostalgia in communication, but I would like to go with this very specific issue, which I'm sure Pak Satria is very expert because he has lots of exes. Ex's girlfriend or something, and they discuss a lot in Facebook about exes and something like a pain in the past, yeah, Aki, yeah. So the memory of the past in which the pain from an old wound. So it's very interesting that we want to revisit that memory, and that's nostalgia basically. And Indonesia and Japan, in my study, actually show that they have used this as a tourism commodities, I would say. Yeah, and where is the place for this nostalgia? The destination are villages. One is in Bali and the other one is in Sumagojuku. It's a post town. They want to see the old memory of Japan. They want to see the old Bali. What was Bali in the past? I want to see. Yeah. So that's the nostalgia that people want to see. And that's why in tourism, there is a study called travel home. Or there is a study in Japan called furusato, means going back to the past. And in Australia, we have home and away. Yeah, but being away, but being feel home. Yeah, so second home. For example, they go to Bali because they keep going. Yeah, like I go there for 20 times. Why? Because they feel home. Yeah, and they can do things like home, but in other country. So it's very interesting why then village become these nostalgia places because Geertz, yeah, one of the very, very, just a second, I just need to, sorry, my kids is watching TV. So the village is actually something that was forgotten in the past. And that's why it sealed what was a country before. And you can study the development of a country, of a nation, through a village. So it's very interesting that he says that, because then, oh, the village has lots of memory, a lots of things that were sealed from the past because they are forgotten. Like Sumagojuku was actually forgotten, a forgotten village. Penglipuran was also, not only Penglipuran, but lots of village in Indonesia was forgotten during the development of, during the country development and industrial period, right? You know, everything is related to city, 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 and village was forgotten. But that's the reason why village has this, you know, nostalgia ambience in which we can learn and we can preserve. And Indonesia itself is actually, in other country, in Australia especially, is seen as an agricultural nation. Maybe I would like to ask those who is from other country, what is the image of Indonesia in your mind? What is the space, the landscape that is in your mind about Indonesia? Do you see city or more like village, paddy field, tropical, beach? Which one? Or city, development, modernity, Jakarta? Which one is more in your mind? Victor,
I guess
maybe.
It depends on the person, on its knowledge, on its personality. Yeah. For example,
more like in general, like
in general, as I can judge, I think it's like beach. Yeah, it's like Bali, something like this.
Yeah.
And maybe if you talk about city, maybe something like Jakarta, like capital city.
Yes, yes. But maybe we can, thank you so much, Victor. We can ask another student as well. Maybe Jason or someone else from other country. In general, like what is the impression of Indonesia? First thing first.
Perhaps
Yahya, maybe.
Yahya or Nahid. Is Nahid still here? Nahid from Afghanistan. Yes, Nahid.
Hello everyone. I'm from Afghanistan. Actually, I have never seen the Indonesia, but I think that's a new point of me. I think that is like a landscape or beach for me. And actually, in Afghanistan, we have some prestige, sightseeing place, prestige, nature. But actually, that also beside that, I had a question that how we can say that virtual, that tourists, we can call them as a, that is a tourist, or, I mean that how we can call them, because actually the virtual tourist is like showing TV, that we didn't can touch some things, we didn't have, to feel them, directly. We have to communicate with the people, but actually in Afghanistan we have that the some things that we have a very tourists. We have some of the place that's pristine place that the tourists could come to the Afghanistan. And also, for example, we have some place like Bamians, like a Herat. There are some of the province that the people, they come, tourists also come. But right now, I mean that right before that, not right now, because Taliban, they are coming and the dream of all of the people destroy. But actually, my question that is that how we can call them that virtual touring, we can call them as a tourist or sightseeing of the place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's very good insight that you give. Actually, virtual tour has strength and weakness. We have strength in a way that, not we, but virtual tour's strength is that you can be in a place without going there, right? You can feel that you are being there, but you're not there. Why? Because people may not be able to buy tickets to go there. One. Second things, it's too risky to go there. I don't want to go there. Like, I want to see, but I don't want to go there. I'm too afraid of my life, for example, but I want to see. Now that's virtual tour. So like a lot of virtual tour, if you go to Airbnb experience, are really popular. For example, if you want to see aurora, something that Like it's very difficult to see unless you're going to like the rural places, and people don't have the money. So people want to experience that as a glimpse, just a little bit. It's okay. Yeah. Or you want to feel the authentic feeling of being there or learning something, but you cannot go there because of COVID. So that's another thing. So lots of good things of virtual tour, but also there's a lot of weaknesses as well. Like you said, you can't really touch, you can't really smell it. You are really depends on the guide that explained about the place, yeah, and give you the visualization, the sensation of the place, and as well as give you the interactions that you need. So there's a weaknesses and strength in which you can choose. Yeah, actually, currently virtual tourism is growing very significantly in a way that it gives a lot of income for those who become the hosts of virtual tour. That's why we in our company we try to empower people with disability, people with special need to be the host of virtual tour, because they can, you know, physically disabled, so they may not have legs or hands or something like that, but they are really good at explaining. It's just that, you know, like it's very beneficial for them because they can representing a place without have to be there, or maybe they have to be there, but they can use other tools as well to explain the place. So it actually helped them in a way that it helped them within the limitation that they cannot do. So there's a lot of you know, strength and weakness. I think that's my answer. But thank you so much for the Indonesian aspect that you point out. It is true. It is more like the landscape. Yeah. And according to the research that I did with Australian tourists, especially, they are looking at the tranquility of a place, of a landscape. So they imagine Indonesia as a tranquil beach, yeah, with a tranquil paddy field and everything. And they also see Indonesian as exotic, which it could be good, it could be negative as well, because then we are objectified as exotic. If you remember the theory of Orientalism by Edward Said, yeah, it's very interesting. He says about the Orient, the otherness, yeah. So they see us as others. The other one is that they want to experience the space, like this picture. It's actually one of the tour that people do to experience Indonesia in Australia, how they sell Indonesia, how they show what things you can do in Indonesia. You can do this one. Yeah. And it's very interesting how they see, they only do this for like 5 to 10 minutes, but it's already make them very happy. For us, the local people, we don't see this as an activity, as a tourism activity, right? I mean, Mas Satria, well, like if you go to sawah as to the paddy field, you will not, you know, stop and like do this, right? Especially this is in Bali. But for tourists, they would love to do it. They are eager to do it. So there is these differences that we could see as a tourist and as a local people. Now, when I do research about Indonesia, what is the nostalgic space? What are they looking for in the village? Apparently, the tourist said that, oh, I want to see street. I want to see the street of the village because it's very interesting. Or kampung in Asia, we have similarity. Yeah? I think in Philippines, you have kampung as well. Yeah, a small urban village, I would say. It's very tiny. It's very Asian because it's very like small, tiny road with lots of people and lots of houses. It's very interesting. Yeah, they want to see the street. What else they want to see? They want to see the natural surrounding. What they want to see, what's around this village. They want to see houses, especially because the houses are different in the village, and also they want to meet the people because the people there is very, I would say, sincere. Yeah, because they just, hello sir, hello mister, and they just talk and they enjoy and they show them the places they live, and that's why it's very nostalgic. Japanese, in another aspect, see a village in Indonesia as Japan in the past. Yeah, so they want to go to the village because they want to see, you know, it's like my country in the past. It used to be like this, but now not anymore, for example. So it's very interesting that This is a very interesting place. And what makes them wonder? Yeah, apparently it's something that is very different with local people. Local people will see like this tree. It's a chocolate tree. For tourists, it's very interesting. Chocolate tree, I never know that chocolate tree, the color is actually green. It's not chocolate. Yeah. So they want to see. But for local people, they like, okay, this is just chocolate tree. There's nothing special. But then after we told the local people that you can actually be the host, be the guide, and explain to the tourists about this chocolate. It's very interesting for them. They don't believe. They're like, really? This is interesting? Yeah. And then they start to understand that, oh, okay, I can then use this as an example, as a story of my place. Yeah. And then they show that, and this guy right here, this is a local people. He become the host of the tourists. And it's very interesting that because he has to do trainings, and then he understand that what is the natural resources around my area that I can show as things that makes other people wonder about the place I live. Yeah. And then okay, so this is another one that I see as an observation in visual aspect. So this is Indonesia, and I try to do research in 48 regencies and municipalities. And I try to collect their tourism brochure, okay? And then I try to understand what is the things that is being shown in their tourism brochure. I would like to have a question with you first. As Indonesian, yeah, Indonesian, for Indonesian student. So Indonesian student, for you, what should we show to other country? What should we show? Do you think in our brochure or any tourism media? What should we show? What is the very interesting things that we have that make us different, and we need to show that to other country? What do you think? Indonesian student.
Come on.
Anyone?
Hello. Can Fox, do you have any question, any answer for that?
Any answer? If you yeah. So like, what should we show? Do you think as Indonesian, yeah? What things we need to show in our brochure that show us that we are different, but we are different as a country? What things you think is the best to show? Okay.
You should show smile, because Indonesian people are friendly.
Indonesian people. Okay. One, Indonesian people. Okay, good. Thank you, Victor. So we need to show Indonesian people, right? Okay. What is Indonesian people? That's something that we need to think, right? How to represent Indonesian people. According to Victor, it's smile.
They are sunny. Yes, they are sunny.
Yes.
They smile. Always smile.
Yes, smile and show our friendliness, yeah, as an Indonesian.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's a character that you maybe find it very specific, yeah, to tropical, something like Indonesian. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Victor. Anyone else? What other thing that we need to show in a place in Indonesia?
Cuisine, Indonesian cuisine.
I think that it's better that to show some modern places in Indonesia, because most of the time all of the people, they think that Indonesia is just like a landscape.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a really good observation. Yeah, but then you that's actually one of my findings as well. But then we go back to your previous sentence, which is because most of the people think that Indonesia is just a natural space. Yeah, is that what you said? Before you go with the modern, right? Just a land. Yeah, exactly. So basically, a lots of maybe tourism brochure is showing Indonesia as a natural land. Yeah, very, very, very little that show actually we have developed into things. Yeah, that is also very interesting, very vibrant, maybe city, urban things like that. Yeah, it's very not many that actually show that. Maybe because there's a myth that people would like to see more on our natural and rural side than the city side. Yeah. So it's very interesting. Thank you for your statement. Maybe other thing? What thing that makes us different?
Maybe our multiculturalism.
Exactly. Our multiculturalism or culture. Yeah, multicultural has two aspects. It's the multi, so several differences. It has to show diversity. And second is culture. We need to show our culture. Okay. But according to this content analysis that I see, apparently our tourism brochure, mostly like our friend from Afghanistan, what's her name? Sorry. Nahid? Oh.
Yes, I'm Nahid.
Nahid, yeah, okay. According to Nahid, it is true that lots of our tourism brochure actually show us as a landscape, yeah, natural, so like beach, and it was not cultivated. It was not like it was raw places, which is good for several tourists. Yeah, maybe several tourists. But the thing is, if you show beach, it's almost the same because every places have beach. Yeah, but what makes you as a destination is unique is actually the culture and maybe the people and the cuisine, yeah, the product of tourism. Now, if you see the number, it's actually only 15%, 15.9% only show the cultural identity. History, heritage, they don't show it much. They show it only 15%. The rest of them, they show more of natural space. And I agree with Nahid, yeah, why not the modern, the city, the urban landscape? Why don't we explore in that? Are we afraid that nobody will be like it because we are modern? Yeah, so that's my question as well. And then more like raw nature, yeah. That's very interesting. But then the question is, it's not so diverse according to the question, multicultural. So the diversity is very important, especially on the tourism product, and also the people show the diversity. I also did content analysis on the how many ethnic group that was shown. Actually, more the dominant ethnic group. So the very small minority of ethnic group, they are not being showed. Yeah. So yeah. So what about the occupation that was shown in tourism brochure? It's apparently, it's funny. 45% is actually official. What do you mean by official? Yeah. Culture and art, 24%. People who work in culture and art, and people who work in agriculture is 22.8. It's in Sumatra Island. Official, 45%. What does that mean? Yeah, so it's actually show the official is doing meeting. Why is it interesting? Or the head of the regency in the tourism brochure. Why is it interesting, right? So I give you the example. Yeah, like this. Yeah, there's this, yeah, the head of the regencies. We call it selfie, yeah, in the in the tourism brochure. My question is why? We are going to a place, we're going to places in Indonesia. We don't want to see the head of the region. We want to see the places, the people with big smile and all that, as you mentioned. But this is the reality. So my question is, there's a gap here of understanding visual. What is interesting for tourists and what is things that need to be shown by local people? Yeah, there's a gap. Yeah. And then, okay, so meanwhile, in the future, tourism is calling for more innovation. Yeah, this is one of a project that is being done in tourism brochure in Prambanan Temple. So the Prambanan Temple actually now try to do augmented reality of temples. And this is a good example actually compared to the previous one that I show you. But actually what I want to say is that visual has grown. So we need to see what's innovation we do. Yeah, we need to play, being playful with the past. As long as it can convey the message of the past, it will be very interesting to show that. So this is the Prambanan temple being showed in, augmented reality. It's very interesting. It also show the relief and everything else. Yeah, so this is something that government is doing currently, try to do, especially in Yogyakarta at least. I don't know about other places, yeah, but you see the gap is also different between one province to another province, yeah, especially about their policy maker, yeah, their understanding on visuals. Now, the other thing is that there is also a different type of virtual and digital. So when we talk about virtual, there's a very simulation aspect of that. This one is a virtual 3D of Borobudur Temple. So next time, if you go to Borobudur, because now Borobudur, you cannot go up because it was preserved and there is issues of COVID and everything else. So they try to make you stop at the lowest level. And they try to build experience that makes you being able to feel what is it like on the top by not going on the top. For example, by this 3D or by whatever games and everything that they try to build right now. Yeah, this is a 3D of the feeling of going up to the Borobudur, because you can't go up in the Borobudur right now. And maybe in the future you can, I don't know, but now you cannot. And then there is also this type of digital on the right side that the government currently do, because especially in Java, in Yogyakarta, where I live, people now start to be independent tourists, independent, travelers. So they go to places and they try to download QR code and try to find out what is this place. I want to know. So they don't really count on, guide or tour, like lots of independence. So the government tried to facilitate that. The thing that they cannot answer is, how do I get money from that? How do the government get money from that? Because, independent means they get information by themselves. So how? So this is something that they still think about. What should they do? And okay, so this is basically Yogyakarta that we're currently doing. We are doing a combination of culture, nature, people, and creative economy. That's the way the at least the government that I'm working with is currently go. And they go with quality tourism, which is very hard because Yogyakarta is a very big tourism destination and it's very hard to control quality tourism. While in COVID, we need quality over quantity. We need crowd control, we need crowd management, and that's hard. Yeah, so this is a big challenge that the government do. So at the end, nostalgia, memory, and visuals should be integrated into story, into a single stories. And in Indonesia currently we grow what we call story economic, story that makes economy, story that makes money. Yeah, so how to grow this, how to develop this policy and this program is by a multidisciplinary approach, yeah, with tourism, communication, technology, engineering, urban planning, history, anthropology. Everyone work together to do this storynomic things, which could be beneficial for local people, for tour and travel agent, for government themselves even. So this is something that is going on, at least as far as I know. So where should we go from there, and how can we contribute as an academia, as a student, as an entrepreneur? So I think about this is that it's very important for us to know the gap. Yeah, where's the gap? Who needs help? Who needs support? And the second is we need to look up future possibilities. What is the innovation that we could do that hasn't been done in our places or our destination? And third, although my perspective is also cultural and critical perspective, but I try to work with, not against the government, because lots of time we criticize the government, they don't listen to us. So we need to work with them so they listen to us and they may do something together with us in order to be better. And of course, the fourth thing that is very important is the international and like international bridge and knowledge bridge, because we are student, we speak English, we can be the bridge of what is unknown by the government and what is known by the international audience. And of course, over innovation, if we can, but we have to know what is the current innovation already, and then we move from that. And of course, talk with the right people for the right projects. If we have any thought, any ideas, we talk to the right people. Because if we talk to the wrong person, we don't know. Maybe they will, according to my experience, they don't really do something that we expect, or they may just use our ideas, and execute it. So it's very important to understand this. Maybe that's all I would like to say on my experience, Mas Satria, and then we can discuss even more about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Desi. It's impressive, interesting presentation. I just realized we do have pictures of our mayor and things in the promotional tourists. That's interesting. Well, it's not a new one, it's not a new thing, but this is interesting knowing that. So students, you can ask the question directly, or you can drop your question in the chat box if you want. While waiting, anyone, can you please raise your hand if you have any question, and feel free to ask your question in Indonesia. No worries about that. We can translate your question in English.
I was also wondering if maybe everyone from different country maybe could share maybe a story that you feel like, oh yeah, this is similar, like the political figure who is appearing in the tourism brochure. Maybe you I don't know, maybe Filipina have the similar things. Yeah, like there's an issue in tourism, we call it tourism brochure is no longer a media. It is no longer a media for tourism, but it is a cultural and political assets. And that's true, right? I mean, people use that in their power to show their self and to promote themselves. So it's very interesting of that issues.
We have Nahid here. Nahid,
sure,
please.
Sure.
Yes, excuse me, I had a question that is there any cultural similarity between the Indonesian and China? Because as I saw some of the place that the shape of the house is the same. Is it clear? Or maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. But when I saw that the shape of the house is the same, is it possible to say that they have a similar culture, or no, there is a difference? Thank you.
Thank you, Nahid. So in terms of in general, it's actually different. But we do have a lot of Chinese population in Indonesia, which bring all those Chinese heritage in our countries, on our cities. I think in the research, my research is actually around 5% of Indonesian population is actually Chinese descendant. The thing is very funny. This is also interesting you mentioned that. The tourism brochure that I search, 48 regency at least, they don't show any Chinese heritage in their destination. It's very interesting. So that's why I criticize that, why there is no Chinese heritage in all this, photos of this tourism brochure. There are Chinese descendants who live there, maybe as a majority, but they don't show it. Like, but actually, like a Chinese heritage building is also one of the tourism destination, actually. It just that may not be the main icon that they show, or they may not select it. So that's why my question is why they're not appear in the tourism brochure. Yeah, so it's very much, I would say, power elites way of putting things, selecting image, representing places and destination that actually depends and selected by they are in power. It could be advertising agency, could be the government agency. So yeah, I think that's my answer. It's actually generally different.
Okay, Thank you, Mbak Desi. Any other questions? Please, if you have any question, please drop your question in chat box or raise your hand while waiting. I have one question to you, this. Well, you're talking about the Orientalism, you're talking about nostalgia, if we're talking about romanticism, the way the industry represent or reflect Indonesia as part of nostalgic Orientalism and what you call exotism. Yeah, exotism. It seems like Indonesia just like uncivilized country, you know. But in some other way, the tourists want to see the thing that they can't find it in their country. If we put like modern cities, the thing that they find it in their country, how it works. I mean, well, it's one side. We don't want to be like focused on the thing, like Orientalism and exotism. But in other side, we do understand that tourists want to see the thing that they can't find it in the country. So how it works then?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, now the government has tried to have a little bit of a modern, like maybe model. So like they have a story. If you see the advertising of a Wonderful Indonesia recently, yeah, within these past 4 years, starting from Arif Yahya Ministry, they try to have more modern nuance. So like they try to have model from a city who's coming to the village still, and they have young people who's doing rap and like music things, dancing with foreign tourists, which is showing the like more modern hype of Indonesia. And also show the fast lamp face of like Jakarta and city, like foo foo foo, so fast, like in at night, like something like that. I don't know how to explain, but it's city. So they understand now that they don't they need to show that side of the story about Indonesia, because recently it's literally we only find Indonesia as a rural place. Yeah, which is not true, because we're not just that. Similar with Africa or country in Africa, it's not only like South Africa, it's not only just about the rural places, but it's also about the city, the main city, which is very vibrant, very diverse. They also speak 11 language, like amazing, right? That's the story that need to be told as well. So I think the government now try to experiment on that nuances. And I think a lot of people also, like a lot of tourists, because now there are changes of tourists. So people said tourists, now people like to say travelers. Those two are different. And those who like to be called tourists, maybe those don't like to be called tourists. They like to be called travelers, because travelers is someone who look for something more authentic than tourists, because tourists just come and doing pseudo tourism, we call it. So like just come, take picture, photo, and just go, right? That's tourists. Travelers, they explore places. They try to find something authentic. So authentic, quote unquote. So this is something that is also embraced by the tourism industry right now, that want to show this diversity and this different side of story, which maybe more interested for travelers than tourists. Yeah, so I think that's my answer. Yeah.
So they didn't do buy me show, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting presentation, Desi. Anyone? We still have a couple of minutes here. If you would like to discuss or share your experience, perhaps, please feel free to do so. While waiting, you can have your, fill the form for certificates. Well, some students will need it, some maybe not needed. It's fine. We provide the certificate if you fill the list or the form. Anyone still have other questions? Maybe the students too tired.
Yeah.
But I have to close the class because it's already 7:30 now. I don't want to have you overtime here, Desi. We can't afford to pay you more than that. If you don't have any question, well, thank you for coming to this. Thank you for your presentation. But Desi, could you please give us like like a closing remarks for these topics?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Is this all communication student, Mas Satria, or maybe they have...
Most of them. We do have students from sociology. We do have a doctoral student, Yahya. We do have a postgraduate student here, but also in communication. And we do have Yahya Nahid as a doctoral student here
Okay,
from
very
social sciences.
Okay, very
Nahid
interesting.
doing research on education. Yahya have done the first stage of the research last week about child trafficking in Indonesia.
Okay, very interesting.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
if you please, do you have your closing remarks for the topic?
Yeah. So thank you very much. I think everyone here as a student and also as a postdoctorate student, doctoral student, we have the privilege to see something and to play with research, yeah, in a way that we can try to work not as routine or not like the regular cycle, because we have a different eye, because we are forced to see something and to see problems, right? To search for problems, to search for the nuances, I would say, the tension that appear within the regular cycle of things. It could be education, it could be tourism, it could be about heritage, it could be about, everything else. So sometimes we try to see something for granted, right? As a local people, for example, or as a as a just regular people, we see something for granted. We see something as a common thing, right? We see tourism brochure as just tourism brochure. We don't see a problem with that. We see Indonesian tourism brochure with sawah. We don't with paddy field. We don't see it as a problem, right? It's not a problem. It's everywhere, right? Or we see an old man of Indonesian smiling. We don't see it as a problem. But then when we go further with the research, we then see something is wrong with that. Because why Indonesia is being represented by a lot of old people smiling? It's true. In my research, it showed that it's shown two-person, old people and children. They never really show like Satria or like Fauzan, yeah, handsome, young, rarely. Lots of that is this vulnerable, why, right? We then question why and what's wrong with that is because we are doing research and because we are doing, we question. Yeah, we are being anxious and we are being curious. I think that's thing that should fire everyone here as a student, is to be curious and to ask question why, to use our critical thinking and not to accept things for granted. Because in cultural study, we understand that things was produced, a product of culture, right? A product of routine, a product of habit. We then don't question why is it wrong, because we just accept it as a culture. Now, that's something that I think we need to question that and start to critically engage with things that we accept every day as a regular thing. I think that's my closing statement.
And thank you for the complimentary comment about they should putting me in pictures as a young and handsome guy here.
No, I pointed at Fauzan.
Well, you mentioned my name, so you can't deny it. Thank you, Desi. Thank you for the wonderful presentation and interesting as well. I believe some of my students also have interested to do research on tourism and communication, but we don't have the expert. We do have one college to do more research on tourism, Bu Santi. But with you, we can have like more enlightening ideas about tourism here. And I think the closing remark from Desi is very well connected with we need to explore more. We need to question everything, because a lot of things that we see like very usual, there's no problem. Actually, we can see it in different ways. and I think Desi already provided the insight for that. So if you have interest to do a research on tourism and communication, we do have the expert here. We can't push her to move to UNER, but you can contact her by the email. I think Desi already provided the email, and also you can visit her Instagram, her Facebook, or maybe if you want, you can join her company, her startup by joining the program from Big T. Maybe some of you, or I think, I don't know, because most of you is already 2018 classes. I think it's already a bit late for that, but it's okay if you want to join her sometime, maybe after they graduate. You have her contact now.
Yeah, our intern is actually one doctoral student from Australia and one is S1, well, what bachelor. So yeah.
Oh, can a lecturer apply for that?
Maybe apply for mentor, okay. Not as an intern. Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not part of the ACC start from this month.
Oh, I see.
This program, so I should say in Jogja then. Okay, thank you, Desi, and thank you everyone for coming to this class. And
thank you, everyone.
Have a very good night, a very wonderful week for this week. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Desi.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye. I will end the class now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.